live now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts, episode 289, the one where Hernan looks continuously shocked for some reason. How's it going, Hernan? Is everything okay?
It's great, man. I'm feeling like shit, but here we are.
All right, good stuff. Well, keep going here. Like I said, it's episode 289. Today's the 27th of May, 2020. I can see we got a lot of really good questions already today, but if you haven't yet and you got a question, please put it on the page. First come, first serve. And then I'm going to get into a few announcements. We've got some cool stuff that happened earlier this week, and then some last minute announcements, things that we just found out about today that I want to touch on. But first, let's say hi to the guys real quick and see how everyone's doing. So I'll start to my top left here. Bradley, how you doing today?
I'm good. I just edited the video description in YouTube because it still had some stuff from the webinar we did yesterday. So anyways, but I'm good. Things are good. I'm back from taking a week off. And it sucked because I went away for a week camping and ATV riding, thinking that I was going to get away and get to enjoy it. And it rained the entire week, all day, every day. And it was awful. It was fucking miserable. So I wish I would have stayed home and worked.
Yeah, man, speaking of weird weather, that's I'm in the Bay Area, and so we just hit 95 the last 3 days. Wow. Which is like 34 Celsius. Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, guess I'll go out in the morning, go for a walk, and then come hunker in here, shut the blinds, and turn the air conditioning on. So that's been my life for the past couple of days. So let's go with a happier weather report. Marco, how are you doing?
Guns out again.
It's the rainy season.
And he's like, sun's out, guns out.
It's the rainy season, man. No, look, I live in paradise. I can't help that. Make some money, right? First of all, go get the battle plan. You follow the battle plan. Make some money. Hire someone who will help you train, apply, and make money. Lather, rinse, repeat. And then you can go find your own fortress of solitude where you can just watch the world go by and you don't give a push your mouth.
But other than the outstanding weather, how you doing, Marco? Things are going good?
Things are good here, man. Things are good. Yeah, I'm still, like, things are opening up a little bit here. Essential businesses and all this other stuff, but I'm still self-quarantining. I got 3 kids that I got to think about, and I'm not a spring chicken, so that there's another person that I have to think about, right? Because I can go out all I want, but I have to think about my family, and what I might bring home. And the shit hit close to home to me because somebody that I knew personally died of this. It's not as if it's totally foreign to me. Like, I don't know anyone who is affected by this. I do know, and so having it that close. It's no longer 6 degrees of separation. It's like, I know. And so, no, it ain't happening. We're going to see how this plays out. And I let everybody, you guys can all go and enjoy yourselves, to do whatever the hell you want. And then let me know how that turns out. And then I'll decide after that second one, what it is that we're going to do. But for now, we're cool. We're taking it easy. And that's just it, man. We just... But my personal choice, right? My personal choice to do this is not as if someone is forcing me to do it. I'm choosing that this is the best way for myself and my family.
Fair enough. All right. Well, Hernan, how about you, man? Things are what? You're moving into winter time, right? I always get it's hot in summer. Like, wait a sec, Hernan's wearing a sweatshirt. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, actually, all of you guys are. Well, Marco is like, he's in the good spot 24/7. But all of you guys are, getting the nice season. But I'm getting the shitty season, So no, but yeah, man, it's good. Today was a good day, like warmish, but yeah, we're getting into winter and all of that. So see how that goes.
Good deal. Cool. Chris, how about yourself, man?
Yeah, can't complain, man. Sun's out, sun is shining all day. I mean, it's dark right now, and best part of all, Friday the gyms are opening back up and stuff. So things are really good.
Outstanding. Well, I'm going to circle back around. Bradley, you mentioned a webinar, and I wanted to touch on that because we had Brian, a mastermind member, along with Bruno, and you all listening can get to know both of them better and see what Bradley has to say too about this Go High Level system. And Bradley, you want to tell real quick? I'm going to pop the link in where people can go and check out the replay, but do you want to tell them about the webinar a little bit?
Yeah, it's Brian, one of our mastermind members, reached out and basically said that he was using a platform, an agency automation platform that consolidates a whole bunch of different services and such all under one roof. And what I mean by that is, typically like, and let me back up. He reached out because he thought that it would fit really, really well with the 2X Your Agency training, because it does a lot of the stuff that I talked about in 2X Your Agency about how to automate, delegate, or eliminate, because this platform consolidates a lot of services that you may have separate subscriptions for. And I always call it duct taping them together using Zapier or some similar application. And basically these have integrated services that do all of the same things that many of these external services do that we put to, we connect via Zapier, and it's all under one dashboard. And so it's a lot more seamless, and there's a lot of really cool features inside there. Like one of the primary feature that is used to pitch this Go High Level application or platform is what's called database reactivation, which is a very easy way or simple way for you to get your foot in the door as an agency owner with potential marketing clients, because you can, so anyways, I can't really go into depth right now about that, but it's a really cool platform. I signed up my own agency on the agency level, account level, so that I can create first of all, I'm going to use it for my own agency, but second of all, so I could also create a case study for how I'm using it. I've got some really good ideas that I'm going to be sharing in that case study, that I'm going to be putting to the test, and then sharing in the case study as well on how I'm using it and how to generate kind of exponential revenue growth from it, as opposed to just linear. And so anyways, I think it's very valuable. I would encourage you guys to go check it out. It does come with a 14-day free trial. So once you see the webinar, it comes with some free, or some, I think it's free, or it's like $5 maybe to pay for some of the training that Bruno had put together, what he calls the quick start training for that. And so you can get all of that, and your first 14 days determine if it's for you or not. But I think once you see some of the potential of this, it would be something that if any of you are trying to grow, I think you should absolutely take a good hard look at it.
Definitely. Yeah. And I don't do generally local stuff, but I checked this out, and like, I'd been looking at it, and I talked to Brian about all the details, and like, I was starting to be like, well, maybe I could find a way to get, and just like, no, stop it. But like, for anyone out there who's dealing with especially local clients, or can find the right use case, yeah, this blew me away. The amount of services and automation that's packed into that suite of tools and how seamless that is pretty amazing. So definitely worth checking it out.
Yeah.
Real quick too, this one came up today. So we constantly get questions about GMB verifications, right? Hey, where can you guys do GMB verifications? Where can MGYB, when is it going to be available? I'm going to cut to the chase. GMB verifications are available right now. As always, we cannot tell you how long that is going to be the case. So if you are doing lead gen, if you're needing a verification for some other reason, this would be a very good time to put your order in, because not only can you order now, which you couldn't have yesterday, you can get a 15% discount today while we've got it opened up. Also, it comes with a 30-day guarantee, and it's about, I believe, 14-day turnaround time. So pretty quick. I'll post all of that in the chat box for people who are live. If you're not, just head to mgyb.co and head to the store. You can look for GMB verifications there. You can also get syndication networks, ROS drive stacks, SEO Shield, link building, all that sort of good stuff. And circling back around, I wanted to touch on this real quick. For those of you who are watching us for the first time, thank you very much, whether you're watching live or catching the replay on YouTube. If you want to go to the right place, head to semanticmastery.com/HD questions every week. We ask you to limit your questions just to one. Unless you're live, you can ask some more. If, we get down there, we just want to make sure that everyone has a chance to ask their questions. So if you ask a ton of questions, we may not get to all of them, just be forewarned. And then secondly, we encourage everyone to check out the battle plan. You can go to battleplan.semanticmastery. If you want to get repeatable SEO results, that is for you. I'm not going to read the page to you. You can go over there and check it out. But it is a fantastic tool that we recently just updated and released version 4 a month ago. And then Bradley touched on this too. If you're an agency owner or a consultant that you want to get more clients, yes. You want to grow your revenue, yes. And you want to scale your team, hopefully, yes. Then if you want to do that, head over to 2xyouragency.com. There is a ton of incredible training, lets you crush it, whether you're, again, being a consultant or if you want to build a true agency. And it doesn't matter if that's SEO, it's other areas of digital marketing. It's going to help you grow and make more money. That's the bottom line. All right, with that said, guys, any other quick announcements before we dive into questions?
I think we're good.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let me grab the screen. You guys confirm when you see my screen?
Got it.
We can see it.
All right, cool. All right, so it looks like BB. No, that might have been from last week. It looks like it was. So we'll start with Bobby. Bobby says, hey guys, I got some questions. First one was, would you recommend ordering another drive stack to a completely new section of a website targeting a different service keyword in different locations on a large content site? That would be perfect for the location field. Am I right, Marco?
Yeah, that's perfect for the extension, and it's currently available, and there's a coupon.
Sweet. So that's for the drive stack expansion.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, if he already has the brand, because he's saying another, right? To a completely new section of the website. So we're talking about the same website, right? MoneySite. That's how I'm seeing this, unless you're seeing something different.
Okay.
And he has a different service keyword and a different location on a large content website. Well, that's just an inner page, what he's describing, top of the silo. So you would aim the expansion on the current drive stack at that inner page. You'd get much more power going and extending that initial drive stack than you would doing a completely different drive stack and gSite.
Sure. Got you. Okay. The next question was, I saw an older webinar regarding the rssmasher software, which looks awesome. Have you used these sites to drive traffic back to a money site or recommend using them for lead gen assets for personal and client sites? Thanks again. I've not used them for lead gen assets, but I have in the past. I haven't built since the updated, the new version of rssmasher, which is even better. But to create kind of like quasi PBNs, and when I say PBNs, they're not like what we would traditionally think of a PBN. These are real sites that generate real traffic, and that's the differentiator, right? Having real sites generate real traffic with automated content posting to them, right? Through all the RSS feeds that you splice together in rssmasher and all the really cool shit that you can do. You can take a look at the most recent webinar we did with Damon Nelson about the most current version of rssmasher and see some of the examples of the sites that he builds for 100% automated content sites using rssmasher. And they're freaking beautiful sites. And he's generating affiliate income and like AdSense income and such using those sites because they do generate traffic and they look beautiful. But from an SEO standpoint, I looked at it as like, hey, this could be really good to generate, in related content type sites that could feed traffic back to, a money site or a lead gen site or whatever. So, I mean, I think it's certainly possible to use it for that. I haven't done it myself, just to be honest, because it's not, strategy that I've been pursuing. I've wanted to. In fact, I even talked about it with my partners here about, man, I would love to have some time to play with that and set up some sites, but I haven't done it yet. I think, Marco, weren't you guys going to try playing with that a bit? I know it probably hasn't been done, but wasn't that on the to-do list?
It is being done. I mean, we are currently testing it.
Cool.
And we won't, like, there isn't anything, I'm not personally doing it, but I got my mini mastermind, which is where all the evil takes place, where we go after everything. And there's a couple of people in there who have a license. And then one of them is using our license. Like I gave her our license to go and try it out. So they got together. 3 of the people in my 7-person mini mastermind got together. And what they're doing is, they're sharing information on how to make it work in the best way possible. And then they're going to come back and report it to me. And we're either going to make it available through MGYB as a service, or I'm not sure how we're going to offer that, but there's definitely something in the works with that RSS masher. It's just, you guys, if you go get it, just be prepared, because there's a high learning curve. It's that simple software that you're just going to go and plug and play. You have to be prepared to go through the training, to go through the process, gathering up the feeds, making everything look right, and then that's when the magic happens. And I can't wait to blast that. Give it a companion gSite and drive stack, expand it, and then blast it with link building and some embeds and see what happens. I can't wait.
Yeah, it looks good. Like I said, I wish I had more time to mess with it, because I think there's a lot of potential there as well. So
maybe next Wednesday or the following Wednesday, we can give people a preview. But again, the first ones that'll get a preview will be my mini mastermind, and then the semantic mastery mastermind, the heavy hitter club, and then we'll go public with whatever we have. It's still a few weeks away. It takes time. That's all.
So Frank's up. He says, is it possible to get an iframe for a drive folder? Tried adding a link into iframe generator, and it came back saying the page was blocked from being displayed. Also, well, the first part of that is, yeah, you can. Used to be able to, but no, I haven't tried since the updates recently. Marco, can you?
Yeah, not through the iframe generator. That's why I tell people to code your own. Code your own, because you can't do it that way. You have to separate the. I can't go through the process now, but you have to get the folder ID to be able to iframe it. And okay. What you have to insert in the iframe generator is the entire URL, and you can't do it that way.
Okay. Used to be able to just publish to the web would be a file setting in Drive. Used to say publish to the web, and it would give you an embed code for the file or for the folder. But I think that has been taken away, correct, recently?
No, I can check that right now. I mean, go on and let me check a folder that has nothing in it, and we'll.
Okay, well, I'll move on while you're looking that up. He says, also with MGYB, do you have any link building services that could be used for tier 1 MoneySite or only gsites? Yeah, well, the SEO Shield can point back to your MoneySite, right, which includes the drive stack files and folders as well as the gSite. Also, press releases could be used for tier 1 MoneySite, right, or your MoneySite. Tier 1 MoneySite it's redundant. That's like the Department of Redundancy department. You know what I mean? So yeah, your MoneySite, again, press releases and the SEO Shield. Those are the two things that I would recommend. Am I missing something?
No, I don't think so. And I can't find it. I can't find publish to the web, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It had been removed since the recent update. But it used to be able to do it that way. So hopefully that was helpful. Mohammed's up. What's up, Mohammed? He says, hey guys, a client is asking if I can rank his Volkswagen dealership for VW related keywords in a city 3 hours away from where the dealership actually is. How would I go about this? I know I can get a GMB from MGYB for the new city and add a new city page to the MoneySite. What else would I do? Well, the problem that I see with that, Mohammed, is it's a dealership, right? So if you're getting a GMB for a dealership, which is a storefront business, right, where the customers come to the business location, and you've got a spammed GMB listing that's 3 hours away from where the dealership actually exists, then how is that going to play with potential car buyers when they're looking to go to a dealership in their local area and they've come to find out it's a spam listing and instead they've got to go 3 hours away to buy a Volkswagen? To me, I don't think that would be advisable for the reasons I just mentioned. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. Did anybody else interpret this another way?
No, that's the way I'm reading it. Unless the dealer is opening up a dealership in that city, in which case you wouldn't need a spam GMB, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I am not willing to drive 3 hours to go look at a car. Like yeah. My dealer has to be close by where I can just jump in the car 10, 15 minutes. I'm there, look at the car and decide if I'm going to buy it. Right? Because I mean, people, yeah, I mean, the idea behind it is correct. People are going to first look online to find a car that they like. Then they're going to find the dealer. Then they're going to go visit the dealer to see the car. Who's going to drive? Did you talk to this dealership owner, by the way, and ask him, who do you know that's going to drive 3 hours to buy a car when they can buy one like in the city? I don't understand the thinking behind that.
Not only that, but don't you think it would piss a potential customer off if they were misled to believe that a dealership was in their local area just to come to find out that it's 3 hours away. I mean, it's not just that, like, if he was promoting ranked a page organically for this city that's 3 hours away and says, hey, we sell cars, our dealership's over here, and they're honest about where it is, it's very likely most people aren't going to drive 3 hours away anyways, but at least they weren't being dishonest about it. Whereas having a GMB for a storefront business where a store doesn't actually exist, that I think it would piss me off if I click driving directions and go show up at this place to find out that it doesn't exist. And then I got to drive 3 hours away to go where I intended.
What about other car dealerships? Wouldn't they be pissed if you're faking a GMB, right? It's totally spam in the area. I don't think VW corporate would be too happy with that, with you faking a GMB. I don't know how much trouble. I mean, you can get into a whole lot of trouble behind that. Talk to this guy. Talk some sense into him.
Yeah, just find out what his intent is, really. And maybe you already know it, Mohammed, and it just wasn't conveyed in that message. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if I was going to do anything, it would be to try to just rank organically for that. And then just be honest about where the dealership is and why they should drive 3 hours away to purchase a car at that particular dealership. So, all right, moving on. Next question is, hello, everyone. Recently, I purchased an SEO Shield, and since I got some discount for link building, I also bought that. So I placed the order for SEO Shield and link building all together. What I found out that instead of building the links to my properties, they pointed all directly to your money site. Okay. You provided the URLs to build links to, and MGYB disregarded that and built all the links to your money site?
No, continue.
I find that hard to believe. Okay, when I inquired from support about it, they said since you had provided the URL file, we built all the links around that, but they also said that they don't recommend it. I'm a new user purchasing SEO Shield first time and also not aware about the internal technicalities, of SEO Shield. So I provided all the information, including URL file, because I thought it might be required to build the SEO Shield. Since I bought the SEO Shield and link building, so I believe that SM support will follow the best practice since I blindly trust SM for SEO related stuff. So my question is, why were the links built directly to the money site, even when it is not recommended? No one will pay for the money to, I'm not sure what he says. Now he says that the links can't be removed. This website is my 6 months old hard work. I don't want to degrade my website by any means. So what should I do now? Should I disavow all the links pointed in the Excel sheet? Please suggest. Okay. The first part of that, I'm not sure if you came to us cold and you don't know anything about our methodology, then I could understand where that confusion may have came from. Perhaps we need to have that clearly, explicitly outlined on the order page, or the submit details page, in other words, if it's not already. But as far as we didn't build all the links to your money site URL. If your money site URL was listed in your submitted URLs list, then some links will have been built to your money site URL. But in all of our training, we always suggest we actually won't build links to your money site URL if we know that it's in there. So I don't know what to tell you on that, other than, and as far as disavowing, Marco doesn't ever recommend that. I've done it in the past, haven't done it for years. I don't think, have you seen anything negative happen? We don't suggest it, but I don't know that it is going to cause any problems. Marco, what do you say about this?
I say I have a really big problem with this guy, right? Because this was sent to support at mgyb.co. And I heard from Dedia, and he said, hey, look, you know, what can we do with this? What can we do for this person? So we're looking to do the right thing. He goes, look, I think I can remove all the links, but it's going to take a while. All right, so we are talking about it. He doesn't even give support a chance to respond and let him know what the answers are. He comes here to a public forum to air the laundry, and I understand that. I mean, in no way is this a recommended practice, but I mean, he submitted the URLs for us to build links to. If you give us a spreadsheet, how are we to know that there's a money site included in the spreadsheet? I mean, he's assuming that we're supposed to assume, and look, the logic behind this evades me, because I just don't see it how we're supposed to know that he's submitting his money site. from now on, so now we know that we need to make sure that we tell people explicitly on the order form, do not submit your money site URL. So thank you for that. But I don't appreciate this being aired on a public forum when we're taking care of it, when we're looking to do what's best for you and for your website. Not that anything bad has happened, not that anything bad will happen. We don't know yet what would happen, but it's still in the discussion stage, and he doesn't even give it an opportunity. He comes publicly and says, hey, you guys, I thought you were supposed to follow best practices and whatever else he says, and I just don't appreciate it. Give us at least a chance to do the right thing. And then if there's a problem, if there's no resolution, then you come here and you speak to us publicly. I thought about writing you, by the way, because I saw this. I saw the what do you call it, the ticket come through, and I know I'm supposed to stay away from customer service, but I thought about writing to him because I don't see the logic. If he submits the URLs to build links to, that's what we're going to build links to, because the customer is always right. So if you want links built to your money site, in spite of the fact that we don't recommend it and that we say don't ever do it, we don't do it. If you submit the URL and if by mistake, and I'm not saying that you did it on purpose, if by mistake you included your money site or you didn't know, it's going to get links built to it. Now, we are going to try to do the right thing. That's all I can say. We were trying to do the right thing before, even after having come on a public forum and like hitting on my last nerve, we're still going to help you out.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know that it's going to cause any problem. We don't build links, the types of links that we sell at MGYB directly to the money site. We always, in all of our training, suggest not to do that, because that's the whole reason for the SEO Shield, right? Is because, and that's why it's named the SEO Shield, because it shields your money site from all the external SEO and link building that you can do, because link building to your money site doesn't always, but can create a problem. So, you know, it's not a guarantee that you're going to have problems because that happened. It might not cause any problems at all. We just don't recommend it. We suggest not to do it because there's no need to, because we push all the power to the SEO Shield and use the SEO Shield to launder, basically clean any potential negative juice through Google properties and through high authority assets that and push relevancy essentially eventually to the money site. So again, we don't know that it's going to cause a negative impact at all. We don't test it because we don't do that. We always recommend building them directly to the SEO Shield. Again, that's the whole point of the SEO Shield. So we have learned, we have now decided, or just came to the realization that needs to be very explicit on the order form submit page, and that makes sense. And we'll make sure that we make that change. And Marco and Dedia, our link builder, are going to do what they can for you. So hopefully that will suffice. Next question. S&S Insurance says, total newbie here. I just ordered the press release. Not sure where to start as I'm clueless on what to do. Any advice would be great. This is awesome that you asked this question, because I'm actually working on a little mini course for press releases for people that want to order, and not for SEOs, but for business owners. I mean, anybody will have access to it that they want, but it's I'm doing a little mini course for press releases for MGYB. In other words, a little mini course on trying to teach a layman, right, or a business owner, somebody that's not an SEO, how to get the most use and the best use, the most traction from press releases that you order from MGYB. And I'll have that done by next Tuesday for sure. Maybe even possibly will be available by next Wednesday for people to go download as a lead magnet or whatever. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to have it ready by Tuesday. I don't know if it'll be ready on Wednesday for public consumption. That said, I can give you a brief rundown on it because I was actually working on that presentation earlier today. In fact, it's over here. So I can show you that. I'm not kidding. I'm do-it-yourself press releases, leverage PR marketing for your business. So this will be both a presentation as well as, and some of that stuff hasn't been edited yet, but it will be a presentation that will be available as well as some videos. So it'll be like a little mini training course on how to get the best uses of press releases and then what to do next as well. So really a quick rundown on that is, first, have an understanding of what your keywords are that you want to promote, right? So your primary products and services, products and or services. or an event. If you're promoting an event, whatever you're trying to promote, you want to have a set of the keywords that you're looking to promote, and you want to submit that as the primary keyword for each one of the press releases. And so the press release writers, the writers that they're really good about creating brand plus keyword association. So if you submit the keyword that you want to be used as the primary keyword, they're going to create that. They're going to use the brand name and the keyword in the title, okay, which is very, very important. And then they're going to write about whatever it is that you instruct them to write about. And you can be as descriptive about how, like, you can tell them the tone that you want them to write it in. You can tell them certain things that you want them to highlight within the press release, or you can be vague. You can just say, here's the URL that I want you to promote. And they'll go look at the URL, also look at the brand, and they'll create a news angle story that they'll write a press release about. You know, so it makes it easy for you guys. If you have something specific you want written about, add that in the writing description. If you don't, and you don't know how to create a newsworthy angle, don't worry about it, because that's what the press release writers do. So you can just submit a URL and say, this is the primary URL I want promoted, write a story about it, right? And they'll figure out a way, which is why I love using it, because it takes the responsibility, right, off of us to come up with the angle all the time. They're really good about that. Once the press release is published, or you want to also link back to whatever you're primarily trying to promote. So for example, I like to, by the way, if you're new S&S insurance, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/semantic mastery, and use the channel search feature. And you can even go to Google and search for press release or PR silo stacking or press release SEO, semantic mastery, something like that. And you can find a webinar. It's actually still on MGYB. If you go to the webinars tab on the MGYB.co website, you can take a look. I think that was the last webinar that we did, was PR silo stacking. And that'll give you a really good description. It was almost an hour, you know, I don't know, 40-minute webinar or whatever, specifically about how to get the most uses out of, or the best use out of press releases. So again, you're going to want to have at least one URL that you're going to promote. You can have up to 3. I usually recommend only 2 URLs per press release, unless you're siloing press releases, in which case you'll have three target URLs that you're promoting within the press release, because you're going to be linking back to the previous press release within that silo. If all of this sounds foreign to you, just go check out that webinar that I just described, and in it will tell you exactly what we do to get really, really good results with press releases. And just an aside, to kind of a point to kind of reinforce this, is I was just talking in the mastermind 2 weeks ago when I did my last mastermind webinar about how I have a GMB asset. It was a lead gen asset that I hadn't done anything with. It was published about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago, but I never optimized it, never did anything to rank it. And I did 3 press releases in 1 week to push that GMB asset. And all it has is it's a GMB location, you know, profile, and it's got a GMB website. It's not connected to a money site. The money site is the GMB website. And I did 3 press releases in a week, and the son of a bitch disappeared from maps altogether for about 3 weeks. But then it popped after 3 weeks of it, like not even showing up. I thought it was doing a Google dance, but I've not seen one this drastic or this, you know, significant of a Google dance, to where it like literally the listing disappeared entirely from Google Maps. And then all of a sudden it bounced. When it popped into number 3, the C position in the Maps 3 pack, from just 3 press releases in a week. Now those results aren't typical, but I'm just sharing that because it does show you that. And all I did was the PR silo stacking method, the same one that I'm suggesting you to go watch that webinar to learn the strategy. And it works, guys. It really does work. So that's what I would recommend, is just first go look at that webinar. And then after you have, you know, published the press release, it's always better to do, like, 1 press release isn't going to move the needle much, if at all. But when you start to do the silo stacking with press releases, you can do significant damage with that, and in a good way, right? And then from there, the next thing you can do is you do link building gigs to the press releases or to the organization page that we provide when you order a press release. That's something else. And embed gigs, you can do embed gigs as well, but don't link directly to your money site. Anybody, you want to comment on that? Anybody?
Dance is real, man. Right? We tell people 21 days. Actually, it's 20 days, but I tell people 21 days just to be sure they're clear of it. And then that's when you go and take a look at everything and you decide what to do. But it's very real. I don't know why more people don't talk about that. They just see rankings drop and then they go try to fix it and they make things worse instead of the result being better. You're just supposed to leave shit alone until, like you said, it just comes back and then you decide.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, like you said, for about 3 weeks, I haven't seen something that, drastic of a dance in quite some time, to be honest with you. And so I was a little bit nervous. I was thinking, like, man, what the fuck's going on with this listing? And all I did was a handful of GMB posts to that listing over the course of those 3 weeks. And that was it, nothing else. And like I said, it popped. And when it did, it's in the number. In fact, I just got a lead from that today for sure, for tree removal in that particular city. So it's producing, and all it took was 3 press releases, which again is very, very powerful. So, and it used the exact same method I just mentioned. It was PR silo stacking. So just go watch that webinar. It's in the MGYB webinar archive. And it's PR silo stacking, and it works really, really well. Okay. Next question. DC SEO says, hey guys, I received the RYS part of my Shield back, and the RYS keywords aren't the ones I gave your team. They're in the same niche, but very different to what I handed in. Is this right? Mine didn't have any mine, I guess he means mine, didn't have any location as per instructions, and what I received had keyword plus locations from around the world. I'm in the UK, as well as a ton of keywords that are irrelevant to my services. I don't know how that could have happened. Any suggestion on this?
That doesn't sound right, but this isn't the forum for that, is it? It's support at mgyb.co. Ask what happened. Give us the order number. We'll go track it down. And if we have to do it over, we'll do it over. We'll talk to the VA who built it. I mean, we take care of everything, guys. We always do. We always try to do right by everyone. You have to do things in the proper forum. Last week, end of last week or whatever, I think it was Friday, I announced that we had cracked the code, that we were able to now extend the drive stacks because we had automated it. And then someone posted in all of our groups, well, what if I have a VA? How do I train them? And so now, no matter where I respond, it's going to look like I didn't respond in all of the other. I would have to go and respond in all of the other groups, the very same thing that I responded in the one group, and it's going to make it look in the groups where I don't respond like I don't care, or it doesn't matter, or I didn't want to respond, or whatever. I'm like, guys, you got to do things in the right place and at the right time. This first goes to support. If support doesn't take care of you, then come to us and let us know. And then, like, I know one of the owners in MGYB, and I'll have a talk with him and see what we can do about rectifying the situation. But it's in here, in a public forum, I can't do anything for you.
Yeah, if it was indeed a mistake on our end, then absolutely, we just kill that drive stack and build a new one for you. So, and it won't hurt you at all. So, it's not an issue if it was indeed our problem. If you submitted the wrong keyword file, that's one thing. But if it was somehow it got built with keywords that you didn't submit, which is unlikely, but people are human, things happen. So if that was the case, just bring it to support's attention. We'll take a look at it. And if that was indeed the case, then we just kill that stack and then build a new one, and it won't cause any problems. So that's the beautiful thing about those guys. And that's also why we talk about using the SEO Shield for clients and stuff like that, because you get the accounts back and you could protect your work, right? Because if something happens and you get fired, or the client stops paying you, I've had that happen where they just ghost on you. You know what I mean? Their business still exists, but they just won't answer phone calls or emails when they owe you money. I've had that happen several times over my career. You can go in and just kill the drive stack, right? Delete it, or I don't even set it to not public, which it's changed now anyways in Drive, because it can still push power even when it's not indexable. But you can go in and just kill the damn thing, or rework it to point somewhere else. You know what I mean? To their competitor that you can go land as a client. So that's one of the beautiful things about it. So it can be remedied. That's not a problem. All right. The next question was, can you create a subdomain website and rank it and then redirect all the pages to another site and the subdomain maintain its rankings? No, because the redirect will point to the new location, and the new location is going to replace the subdomain at some point, right? You can't redirect a URL and have both the URLs still appear in search, or they might temporarily, and I don't even know that that's true, but Google will, whatever the redirect is, eventually that's what will rank, and the other one will fall out of the index entirely. Am I right in that, or am I missing something?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I don't see how you can't, since you're telling the bot through the 301 that the page or everything in that subdomain moved permanently somewhere else.
Yeah, you could use.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, you could use a canonical, and it can, both pages can rank. I've seen that many times. You're telling Google with a canonical, like, hey, this page is similar to this page over here. Give the credit to this page, right? And then Google sometimes disregards that, and will, both pages will index and they'll both rank, and that happens. So I would suggest a canonical instead of a 301 if that's what you're trying to accomplish. But remember that just because you canonicalize it doesn't mean Google is going to honor that. It also doesn't mean that they won't honor it, right? It's just kind of a crapshoot. So
yeah, what that is, the canonical is when you have similar or the same, and it doesn't have to be two. It could be two or more, however many copies of that document there exists. You can tell Google which one the master copy is, and to rank that one rather than all the others. Now, whether Google follows the directive, well, that's up to Google, and there's no telling what they'll do.
That's right. Yeah, and just to kind of reinforce that, I'm working on a tree care project for it, for a new lead gen service provider that I got, and it's a case study that I'm doing in the mastermind. And I use tags to create location silos. Anyways, Google, it's a new site, right? And my blogger just started blogging for the location posts on the site, and the way that we're building it out with using tags to create the location silos, Google was ranking the tag pages, but not the posts that I wanted to be ranked. And it indexed the tag pages first, right? And the tag pages, because in some cases they're unique tags, which means that the tag page is a duplicate of the post. That, if you guys understand how tags work, that's what happens. If it's a unique tag that's only in one post, then the tag page itself is essentially a duplicate of the post. And so for whatever reason, Google indexed the tag pages instead of the posts. And so the tag pages were ranking for the keywords, but not the post. And I even set the canonical in the tag setting. With SEO Ultimate Pro, you can do that, because you can go to what's called the Global Canonical Manager, or even the Code Inserter Plus module. You can actually go in and add like a separate canonical for each tag and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I added the canonicals for the tag pages to canonicalize to the post, right? When it's a unique tag, you can do that. And but Google wasn't honoring it. And about 2 weeks went by. And so finally just this week, I just went to Search Console and forced Google to recrawl the posts, or excuse me, the tag pages, because they had the canonicals in the HTML header to point to the posts that I wanted to give the credit to. Right. And that's what I wanted to be ranked. And it only took about 24 hours. And lo and behold, now the tag pages aren't indexed, but the posts are, which is what I wanted. So again, that doesn't mean that that's always going to happen, because it could be that Google doesn't honor the canonical, or doesn't recognize it for whatever reason. But by the way, you can also check that when you submit inspect URL in Search Console. And once it inspects the URL, it's going to tell you whether it's in Google or not. And there's a drop down setting that menu that you can click on to expand. It shows you additional details, and it'll tell you what the Google recognized canonical is for that page or that post, whatever URL it is that you're inspecting, right? And so you can clearly see what Google's seeing. So you can force a canonical and then go ask Google to request indexing. And then once it does, you can look at the code that it shows, like the rendered page, and it'll tell you the details of that, and it'll show you if it saw the canonical or not. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful. DC SEO says, is it okay to embed the MyMap via Tag Manager? I'm not sure how you would do that. I'm not sure how you would do that, because Tag Manager creates container codes, right? Header code and body code. And then you inject things into that, like scripts and tracking codes and pixels and that kind of stuff. But I don't know what embedding a MyMap would do, or if it would even read. Is that something you have any idea about, Marco? Hello?
Sorry about that. I was talking into a muted mic. I think you can you can use iframes with Tag Manager. Not only that, you can track them.
Huh.
Oh, am I giving away too much? Oh, never mind.
I'll have to play with that. DC
Go-
SEO, I'm not
go-
sure. I've never done it.
Dude, listen, go play with it, and then look at all the neat stuff that happens in there.
Okay. Cool. Well, there you go. All right. So moving on. Next one is Josh says, I am changing locations from my current office to a shared workspace. And apparently with Google, this isn't a verifiable address. So they won't verify my GMB profile with this type of address. With the MGYB GMB service, will this help with this issue? Is it a storefront or a service area business? That would be my question. Can you get a listing right now, a GMB listing through MGYB? Yes. As we talked about with Mohammed's question earlier, if it's a storefront business, I don't recommend using a spam GMB listing for any type of storefront business, because you mislead potential customers because they think it's in one location and you are indeed in another location. So the only time I would ever recommend using a spammed GMB listing, just call it what it is for a service area business where the actual physical location in the GMB profile is hidden from public. Does that make sense? So again, if it's a service area business, then yes, that would help you. If it's a storefront business, I wouldn't recommend it. Any comments, guys?
No, I think that's absolutely right, man. It's a mess. You got to know what you're getting into, especially if you're gonna spam it, right?
Yeah. I've gotten away from doing spam GMB listings just because how much volatility there's been in the last, many months. So I'm working more heavily on the organic side now, again, which has been years since I really pushed that. So it's interesting. And that's what the tree care project that I'm working on is, in part, as a case study for the mastermind, is working on mostly organic rankings. I do have some GMB locations that are going to be incorporated into the project, but mostly organic rankings. And I'm also doing a lot of call only ads for Google ads. If you're very specific with Google call only ads with your, what I call bullseye keywords, then you can get some pretty good results with that. It's a lot less expensive than actual clicks to regular PPC pay-per-click type ads. Pay-per-call ads are a little bit less expensive if you have very, very targeted keywords with location modifiers and such. So that's what I'm working on right now. Lonnie says, I landed my first client, concrete company, $1,500 per month plus percentage of sales. Is this a good deal? Fucking A, man. Congratulations, Lonnie. That's awesome.
Yeah, that looks like a really good deal.
Absolutely. That's a cherry deal for sure. So congratulations, man.
I'm going to hop in real quick and say it's all relative, right? One, congrats on getting that, especially the percentage of sales and revenue. That's a big one that I think a lot of people miss out on. But keep in mind, too, this is totally dependent on what he's doing for that 1,500.
That's true.
You could be getting work to the fucking ground for 1,500, but, it's up to you. You are the person who can determine whether or not that's worthwhile.
Yeah, that's a great point, Adam. And just know this, if it's your first client, you probably are going to be worked to death anyways, because it's your first client, and you will learn over time how to set boundaries with clients. Just talk to Mohammed, who's always here asking questions every single week. Mohammed's been following us for a long, long time, and we've watched him grow considerably over the last couple of years. And he's experienced a lot of growing pains and come here and asked for advice. And that's what this forum is for, Lonnie. So feel free to come back and ask questions every week. Concerning how to handle certain situations. Doesn't always have to be SEO related either. It could just be about how to handle particular clients, business operations, management, outsourcing, all that kind of stuff, guys. We're here to help grow your business as much as possible. Yes, we talk a lot about SEO, but there's a lot of other things that we've all learned with our experience over the years on how to, help you to avoid some of the mistakes that we've all made. But just know that it is your first client. It's likely you're going to be worked to death for that client. And that's okay, because you're going to learn a lot of it from that, and you'll begin to learn how to start to set boundaries. And remember to, one thing I want to recommend is you do need to also set communication boundaries. I don't know that your new client is somebody that might message you outside of business hours or over the weekend and that kind of stuff. But I've got a lot of clients that still to this day do, but I've trained them that I don't reply to messages after hours or on weekends. Unless it's an emergency. I have a preschool client that had a site go down over a weekend that I had my daughter, and I did actually help him because he's a really good client, and I, you know, I felt for him and I wanted to help him. But very rarely do I ever reply to anything outside of hours, because once you set that precedent, people will take advantage of it. I don't know that they mean to be malicious, but they just think that, hey, I messaged him at 9 o'clock at night and he answered me, so therefore it's okay for me to ask questions at any time. I would recommend that, you know, as your first client, you need to start to learn how to set boundaries right up front. Anyways, let's get back to the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm glad that Adam put that into perspective, because I immediately saw that percentage and my mind went to the math. My mind always goes to the numbers, where I know I'm going to get this company to 200K a month recurring, for you know, if it's like Costa Rica where they work year round, like it's killer money. It's killer money even if it's seasonal, right? If you can't work in the winter, but if they're doing driveways or if whatever it is that they're paving, if they're laying concrete slab, you're talking about 100K easy. And if you charge 10 to 15% of that recurring, then I'm seeing that as a really good deal. But if you're going to be worked to the bone and the client can't close, then you got a problem. So thanks for putting that into perspective, Adam.
Yeah, not to downplay it. Yeah, I definitely just wanted to chime, because the way he phrased it, that's what gave me the hesitation. It's like, is this good? Like, man, there's no way for us to know. You're the one who's got to do that. But, you know, congratulations on doing that. That's good to see.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, just remember, as your first client, you will make mistakes. There's no question. You will work harder than you probably should, and that's okay. Like I said, you're going to learn from that. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Remember, come back here and ask questions often, and we'll try to provide you as much advice as we can. He says, also, I'm looking for simple services I can use to get me in on getting clients and suggestions. By the way, I love the video lead gen and 2x your agency. Well, there you go. You have the video lead gen system and 2x your agency, which is great for prospecting and generating prospects, right? Build that pipeline first, right? And that's super, super important. And through having a full pipeline of prospects and making presentations, sending proposals, right? So pitching prospects, you will get better. You're going to lose many up front, and that's okay, but you will get better. You'll be able to polish your presentation and your pitch and your message and all of that. And so that's why it's so important, guys, to fill that pipeline full of prospects so that you can make those mistakes, and not every prospect that you talk to is going, like, you depend on them to be able to put food on your table. Because if that's the case, desperation comes through in everything that you do, and they can smell that from a mile away. And so I think it's better to have a pipeline full of prospects, because then it's okay. You don't need any one of them because you have more behind them, right? Does that make sense? As far as simple services, I recommend getting the most updated version of the battle plan if you don't already have that. A lot of that was covered in 2x your agency anyways, but the battle plan is a very succinct version of what we recommend to get results and timelines for doing so and all of that. And it's very inexpensive. So I recommend you pick that up if you don't have it already.
Yeah, I'd also say MGYB.co. I mean, everything is there for you to offer your clients, whatever it is that they want. Everything is there. Press releases, link building, and anything and everything that you need to do to produce results for your clients. It lives in MGYB.co. And if it doesn't, and you have a good idea of a product, just let us know.
This is a great question from Josh. He says, and see, guys, this is the thing that, you know, I think we often forget, because we've been in this industry so long that not everybody understands the terminology. He says, one more quick question. What exactly do you mean by MoneySite? That means your primary digital asset. So like whatever your primary domain is that you host your website for your business on, that's what we call a MoneySite. Why? Because it's the site that generates you money, right? A lot of the other stuff that, you know, we talk about is tier 1 branded entity assets. Again, big terminology for basically meaning like social profiles and things that you can build a branded profile or presence on that you're going to link back to your money site. Your money site is your epicenter, right? It's your point of origin. It's the golden frame. You always want to drive all traffic, all leads as much as possible back to your money site, because you have control over that. That's an asset that you own and control. Having ancillary profiles on social media properties and you know, Web 2.0 properties and all that kind of stuff is great. And that's what we do with the SEO Shield, is we build all that stuff out. But ultimately, you don't own those platforms. They could be taken away from you by by Google, by YouTube, by Facebook, whatever, at any time. So they're great to have, they're great to use, but it's best to try to use those to push people, push traffic back to your money site, because you do have control over that. And there's so much more that you can do with that. So your money site is, again, it's your self-hosted primary domain asset for your business, your company, your project, whatever it may be. Anybody else want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, it could be your Google My Business website. It could be that. It could be your GSite. It could be a free WordPress blog or blog or a Tumblr or wherever it is that you choose to blog from. Like, you don't have to have something that's self-hosted WordPress or a self-hosted domain for you to have a money site. It's like you said, it's the place where you plan to send people in order to make money, and in order to sell your product, service, or whatever it is that you want people to see or buy. That's your money site. Why? Because it makes you money. Not to say that there aren't other places that could make you money, like social media, but it's the primary source of what it is that you're planning to do.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because as we talked about, a lot of lead gen assets that I have don't have a self-hosted money site. They are just GMB websites. In other words, the website that Google My Business provides you, which is free. And ultimately, you don't have full control over that. Google does, right? So, I'm glad Marco brought that up, because, I just mentioned self-hosted website. It doesn't have to be that. We recommend that where possible, but there are times where it makes sense to not build a self-hosted website. For example, spammed at GMB listings, it might not be wise to go through the trouble of building out a self-hosted site because of all the work that goes into it. Whereas, in case it were to get suspended, you lose all of the work that you did, essentially. So in that case, the GMB website becomes the primary website for that location. Or another option would be, like Marco said, a Google site, gSite, right? So sites.google.com. That Marco and Rob have done several projects using those as the money site, and it works. It works really, really well. So the money site is exactly what Marco described, which is whatever it is that you're using to make money. I think for a brand, if you're going to build a brand, I think it's important to build a self-hosted website with the brand name as the domain name, because you can really grow the authority of that brand, and you benefit from that in so many ways. So it's a great question, though. All right, so the last question, and we've only got 3 minutes left. We're going to wrap it up. He says, Lonnie says, I'm having trouble with put an SEO and with put a SEO and lead gen contract. Do you have any recommended contract form? No, I don't. You could probably just go online and find some templates that you could use. I personally don't like to use contracts. I mean, I have in the past, but typically it's only for bigger companies that, they want the contract. I like to do everything on a verbal agreement, so that, and I always say this to potential prospects or customers, look, if I'm doing my job, you're going to want to continue paying me. If I'm not, you're not going to want to continue paying me, and that's okay. So, I also want to be able to part ways from that client if we don't jive well, we don't agree on things, if it's just not a good fit, and I don't want to be locked into a contract either. So I don't expect my clients to want to be locked into a contract, and sometimes that burns me. For example, I had a home inspector client that I very clearly stated what the timeline was going to be on results, and I typically ask for, hey, give me this much time. And before that time had passed, before I'd reached that certain level of time that I mentioned, he canceled services. And and to me, that's really unfair for both of us, because he wasn't able to get the results that he wanted, because it wasn't, fast enough for him, even though I clearly stated all of that before we agreed to work together. But at the same time, I put a lot of work into that, and wasn't able to fully realize the efforts, for him or for myself, for my own satisfaction, because he stopped paying me before all the work had been completed, if that makes sense. So, sometimes it's not, sometimes I wish I did have a contract in place, but for the most part, I like the ability to be able to walk away from a client. And I also like them to know that they're not locked into a contract. It kind of eases that, it lowers the barrier to entry, so to speak. However, that said, there might be a difference of opinion here for some of the other guys. Any of you guys have a suggestion for him?
No, you know me, I don't do contracts. I hate them. It locks me into everything. And what if I want to go? I don't care. Maybe the client doesn't want to go, but what if I want to go? What if I can't stand the client? I want to go. And then I'm bound by a contract for a year with this guy that I can't stand, that knows more, or supposedly knows more than I do, which sometimes happens. If you know how to produce results, then always go, look, I'll give you results, but record the call. I always record the call. That call where you talk about, Bradley, what is going to take this long, I always have that recorded, even if there's no contract. And I let the guy know, look, I'm going to record the call. And then you can always revert back to that. That's a contract. Believe it or not, that's a contract, right? And it'll hold up in most courts, I believe, in the US. It'll hold up. It'll hold up in Costa Rica.
That's a good idea. And yeah, if you disclose that right up front and then get it on the recording, you do agree that this is being recorded, and that's okay, right? And they say,
exactly. Yeah. I'm going to be recording this. Are you
That's
okay
a good
with
point.
that? This way we can refer back to the conversation. You know exactly what took place. I know exactly what took place. Then you walk them through. You know that this is going to take about 90 days for results, thereabouts, because you go into the process, because I have to set everything up, and then we get everything going. I'm probably going to get your results before, but I can't guarantee anything with Google. Experience tells me that within 90 days we should be able to see something, and then we can work from there. But I need 90 days from you. Are you okay with that? Yeah, sure. You're going to get that 9 out of 10. And so now you have a binding contract. Now, at the end of those 90 days, when we meet again, then we'll decide if we continue.
Now, real quick, I know, Adam, or if you're still paying attention, I know we're a little bit over, but I think you have a little bit of a different methodology. Is there any way you can comment on this?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I don't have too much of a different. It's kind of constantly evolving. But yeah, I mean, as far as contracts go, like, I stay out of that. I've never done anything extended.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if he's looking for actual, he may just mean he's looking for an outline for like a proposal or an engagement proposal. If that's the case, Lonnie, just contact support@semanticmastery.com. We'll point you to the right direction. I know Hernan put one out there we had as a free opt-in that you could get as an outline, and that can be really helpful. I mean, I've used other people's as a starting point when I'm changing services or adding something in, just so that I have a good starting point, and then you tailor it kind of to your specifics.
Very good. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for being here. Or Chris, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
I mean, like, he is like a lead gen contract. I mean, like, why not sell on a per lead base? So I don't see there's an issue. You can do like a contract that states the price of a lead. So you should be fine that way. Should be super easy.
Sweet. Well, thanks for your input, guys. And thanks everybody for being here. We will see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.